When I was a child, people had CD players and shared CDs with each other at school. My dad had a collection of cassette tapes under the seat in the car for long road trips, and in high school, we used USB music players and shared MP3 files over the library computers. Music used to be a physical or at least tangible item, an item that you either had or didn't have. Music and media have made the transition to streaming over the last 10 years, and people have all but abandoned their tangible collections in favor of their chosen music streaming abstraction. Your music library has been absorbed into the subsystem of the abstraction, and your interaction with the data is now subject to all the rules and laws of that abstraction. For simplicity, I will be talking about Spotify most often, but I have no doubt that this is true of most streaming services. Offline storage is available in all popular music streaming applications, but it's not true offline storage. The offline files are stored in obfuscated caching systems instead of using the commonly understood file formats we all know how to use. You might think this is to protect the artist from piracy. However, Amazon, iTunes, and Bandcamp for many years have offered DRM-free file downloads, suggesting that piracy is no longer a concern of the music labels. If Spotify gave you MP3 files, you could choose to leave their abstraction and the restrictions it contains. If Spotify used the abstractions we already know, its backwards and forwards compatibility would skyrocket. Your only access to your music library is through their application, forcing you to use any user interface they have provided. This allows them to produce user agency by making it harder or easier to do certain things and steering your behavior in any way that they want. In a 2018 update to the Spotify app, the official change list read Performance Updates. However, this update changed large portions of the UI and, according to multiple users, destroyed their libraries. In a quote from a Spotify forum member, "Over the last 4 years, I've edited down hundreds of albums to the best 3 or 4 tracks on each album to build a library of my best 2,000 songs of all time. I was really proud of this alphabetic library. It was a completely unique work of art. They willfully destroyed my 4-year-old, personally curated music collection." The limitations applied to users' curation abilities allowed Spotify to fill that void with Spotify's own set of curated songs. The users can no longer depend on their own agency, they have to depend on Spotify. According to Sinclair and Tinson in their Psychological Ownership and Music Streaming Consumption, published in 2017, perception of ownership is linked to the amount of creative effort and mental energy that is invested in curating libraries and organizing music consumption. The 2018 update is a clear message to users: you do not own your music library. While streaming is still king, there has been a slow but growing longing for physical media, and when people felt the most powerless during the pandemic is when that manifested into user action. From an article posted on Forbes.com, In this time of uncertainty, even I felt this craving. I felt the need to go back to a more simplistic time, where everything didn't exist in some corporation's cloud storage. Whether it was a cry for psychological control or a nostalgic callback to a simpler time, the end result of moving away from streaming services is a more composable music library. If I gave music even a fraction of the space of my phone, I could fit, as the Spotify member stated above, a completely unique work of art. I didn't feel the need to go all the way back to the cassette tapes, but the concept of managing and maintaining my own MP3 files and playlists gave me a feeling of connection back to my music collection. Like a houseplant, the active maintenance and upkeep of a system that I use every day felt fulfilling. I replaced the streaming abstraction with the file abstraction that requires more creative effort and mental energy, but gives me more control. My library is now a large folder of files, easily understood by a wide range of software and hardware. My playlist uses the standard M3U format, which is widely supported by even older devices. There's an old Greek proverb that I'm very fond of. A society grows great when old men plant trees, in whose shade they know they will never sit. In my opinion, music streaming doesn't live up to this quote. We are still benefiting from the cassettes, CDs, and MP3 files created by the generations before us, and we are leaving proprietary caching systems and manipulative UI for the next generation. Hopefully, now that my library has been reclaimed, my future son can stumble upon my old music collection much like I did so many years before. I hope you enjoyed this video. This series is about highlighting more abstractions in daily life so you can be mindful about the trade-offs they contain. Learning how something works underneath instead of relying on a simple interface is a great way to give you more freedom and control over your life and devices.